Welcome back. We are in our final chapter, Eldering as Pilgrimage. Whether we call it aging to saging, roll to soul, older to elder, the last of the rites of passage of late age can become a pilgrimage rather than a difficult and treacherous downhill slog. Pilgrimage is understood in many religious and spiritual traditions. It's been called a spiritual journey, quest, yatra, or hajj. Pilgrimage could entail moving from active roles to something deeper, something connected to spiritual essence, which has inherent value that does not depend on our productivity, accomplishments, or self-image. It's a journey of re-identification. Who am I now? At every age, there are necessary components for a full life. Meaning making. Why am I here? Intimacy. Finding new ways of being a parent or a partner, a member of the community. And generativity. How can I serve? Meaning making relates to spiritual needs for the self. Intimacy relates to the spiritual needs related to others. And generativity relates to needs related to God, source, or spirit. The pilgrim's understanding is that the journey, inner and outer, will be filled with unexpected events, persons, challenges, some of which will be pleasant and others unpleasant, even painful or sacrificial, and that all of these events will have spiritual import for the pilgrim's future life. Rather than life happening to you or for you, life as pilgrimage can evolve a consciousness of life happening with you and eventually as you. We're back with Dr. Connie Zweig now, who has identified certain practices that can help someone evolve from older to elder. The use of the pilgrim metaphor is my own, but the way stations on the path are from her book, which I've mentioned before. Again, I stress that any of these road signs can happen at any age, and the earlier the better for some. Retirement as spiritual practice, reimagining concepts of success and failure. If and how we retire, what we do afterwards are acutely personal. Or we might be wanting to change jobs in order to more closely align with our growing understanding of our purpose. In any case, it's not about what we do, but about how we do it. Can we let go of striving? Can we know our own value beyond doing and follow the call of the soul? In Hindu terms, we can move from being a householder to forest dweller. It's a time for personal growth, a time for encore careers, perhaps. But there's that cultural patterning in our minds. I should be doing more. I'm not doing enough. I'll be useless and grow old more quickly. Life-changing illness is definitely a way station on the pilgrim's path. We've talked about our cultural illusion of aging being an unending state of well-being, so long as we practice self-care, eat the right foods, and do the right exercises. This is a denial of an organic cycle of life. Serious illness or accidents at any age break down our habits of mind, our ego's efforts to dominate and control ourselves. The best example of this that I can come up with is Ram Dass, of course, in his book, Fierce Grace. So Ram Dass, I don't remember actually how old he was, but he wasn't that old when he had a very severe stroke and he was unable to speak for a long time. He got some of that back. He was able to speak haltingly and very slowly, and this was a man who loved to talk and loved to tell stories. And at first, he was just absolutely raging at God and his guru. Why did this happen to me? And he finally, after a number of years, came to the understanding that his stroke was grace, that he had more to learn. It was fierce grace. It wasn't pretty, but it was necessary for his continuing evolution. Life repair and review. The effort to understand a life, repair it, and find meaning in it is a natural developmental task of life, which most people seem to find only in later life. A life review can help us reorient to the soul's mission and give us a deeper purpose for late life. The 5 classic hospice questions are a type of life review and repair, but I hope we don't wait that long. The 5 questions are, is there anyone I need to forgive? Anyone whom I need to ask for forgiveness? Have I told my family and friends that I love them? Have I expressed gratitude to everyone important in my life? And because they're hospice questions, have I said goodbye? If this sounds familiar, it's because it was taken from the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono prayer, which roughly translates to cause things to move back into balance or to make things right. The prayer is, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So a life review and repair can be about what was expressed that maybe should not have been expressed, what was repressed that should have been spoken, what was grieved for what happened or for what didn't happen in our lives. And Francis Weller's book, The Wild Edge of Sorrow, is a wonderful book that helps with life review and repair. I highly recommend it. I hope others have as well in your teachings. Think about a life repair you want to make before you die. It could be, my daughter broke my heart. I had a client who had cut her daughter off completely from her life. I never found out exactly what her daughter did, but I worked with her not to repair with her daughter, because that wasn't going to happen, but to come to some form of peace in herself about what happened. I've heard this last one a lot. When I got sick, God abandoned me. I was fine when I was healthy. Why is this happening to me? Why me? Another way station on the Pilgrim's Path is reimagining beliefs and reclaiming practices. We may continue to unconsciously identify with past beliefs, even if we don't believe them anymore. Do we have a subconscious belief of God the Father with a long white beard, even though we know better? Spiritual maturity calls for the evolution from victim-victimizer, from childlike dependency on a spiritual parent, through meeting the shadow as part of the path, and toward letting go into mystery. It was one of the great pleasures of working with the retirement community to speak with individuals about their personal spiritual beliefs. And they would often say things like, well, I was raised Christian. I am well-churched. And so I believe in X, Y, and Z. And I'd say, well, tell me more. And they'd think about it, maybe for the first time in decades. And they'd say, well, actually, I don't believe in the virgin birth. I was raised to believe in the virgin birth, and I probably don't believe that anymore. And we'd go on from there, and people got to develop their own new spiritual belief system. And in some ways, as I say, reclaiming practices. Some people, a lot of women, particularly who were brought up churched as children, and then they got married and they had kids. And once their kids stopped going to church, they stopped going too. And it was wonderful to speak with people who said, I'm going to church again for the first time, or synagogue, or wherever, mosque, wherever. Um, and this is becoming more and more important to me. I'm diving into my old religion in a new way, and it has new meaning for me. And that was really wonderful too. So, the road signs, retirement as spiritual practice, life-changing illness, life review, emotional and creative repair to release the past and live in the present, and reimagining beliefs and reclaiming practices. Pick one road sign. Write for 5 minutes about your journey and where the next fork in the road might lead you. I'm going to pause the video for a moment while you write, and then please come back. Welcome back. In the last exercise, you might have noticed that I didn't ask you to write about facing death. Making friends with death is an entire course, an entire lifetime's worth of practice and surrender. Wherever you are on this journey of intimate friendship, you can go a bit deeper, I promise.
When death comes, like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like? That cottage of darkness? And therefore, I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea, and I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular. And each name, a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does toward silence. And each body, a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world.
I tear up every time I hear that. So, pilgrims can be any age, and we are all aging. So, learning to be an elder means finding new ways to live, new ways to love, new ways to serve. As a client explained to me, I can't stop the waves from coming, but I can learn how to surf. And we learn how to surf as pilgrims by facing the unknown with curiosity and wonder, seeing it as an adventure. Traveling simply, we don't need all that baggage that we used to carry. welcome both hardships and joy, both the parts we like and the parts we don't like. And using a different compass, because our orientation changes as we age and as we elder. So what makes a wise elder? I'm hoping that we'll talk about this a little bit when we meet in person on Zoom, but I've taught this class several times now and asked this question, and here are some of the things that people have said. A wise elder is deeply rooted with a peaceful heart. She has a zest for life. He's willing to try something new. They're curious about death. They're humorous. They don't take themselves quite so seriously, and others. Some of the new ones are generosity, unconditional positive regard for ourselves. We stop blaming and shaming ourselves so much as we elder, which is a great benefit. Be able to focus on seva or service. We have a better ability of putting ourselves in another's shoes, allowing for different points of view. And hopefully we become effective communicators of the lessons we've learned. The great gift of serving elders in chaplaincy is in accompanying people as they find their own significance, their own answer to the question, why am I still here? As I continue to age, hopefully into elderhood, I have been asking myself this question. The answer may change as I grow older, but right now, my pilgrimage is into the understanding of, as Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. Thank you so much for your interest in this subject, for your participation, and for your service to the world. Your wisdom and empathy can change the way we live on this planet. May it be so, and so it is. Thank you.